Welcome back to Allegedly Podcast, Episode 3, Part 2. This is the original segment made by us called Stud Dud My New Bud, which is my favorite segment. Um, Before I even get into asking my guy about his studs for the week, I want to personally say that my stud, my dud, and my new bud all last week was wrong. All three of them was wrong. But we gonna have a better week. You know what I'm saying? That's how we moving forward. So for the studs, Capo, what you got for me this week, buddy?
For my stud, I'm coming out with Aaron Jones in a bounce back game. He had a rough one against New Orleans last week. I think with Detroit this week, I think he had a real bounce back game. I'm looking for big numbers from Aaron Jones.
I'm gonna go with Cooper Cup for my stud this week. Had a huge week last week, 27.8 points, 10 targets, 7 receptions. I think it carries over. Matthew Stafford got a bigger arm than the quarterback that they had last year. I think they're gonna continue to throw the ball. They're playing the Colts. I know the Colts was formerly a defense that people would be afraid of, but I think it was more because of their front seven. But on the back end, it's a high possibility that they get torched again this week, just like they did last week. Who you got for your stud, Jet?
Uh, I got A-Rod, man. I got discount, man. Monday Night Football, yeah, everybody talking crazy about him. He hear everything. You know his favorite saying is relax. So I think he gonna come out fired up. Him and Devontae Adams gonna have two early touchdowns, and I
I
think
can
Aaron
see
Jones
that.
probably a bust one, and it's gonna be a party in versus Detroit. I think Monday night. So
I can definitely see that.
that rounds out our studs pretty much. So now we got to talk about on the other side, them duds. So
The
I say
dreadful
my
dud.
right. What you
That
call them? The
dripping in
chocolate cover,
chocolate,
man.
chocolate cover, dripping in chocolate.
So my dud this week is DJ Shark, man, versus Denver. I think Denver defense is sneaky good, man. I think they showed a few things in the first week, but I do think the defense is good. I think the secondary is really, really good with Justin Simmons. I love the Sertan pick in the draft. So I think they're trying to do something over there defensively. And I mean, Trevor Lawrence is young. The offense is young over there in Jacksonville. I just think Denver overall just kind of gonna overwhelm. So I don't think DJ Shark is a really good start this week. What about you, Doc? Doc?
I'm gonna go with Mike Davis, man, running back from Atlanta. A lot of people were high on him last week. I know I was one that was kind of big on him last week, but I think he's gonna be Dudley DeBozier again this week, man. 15 attempts for 49 yards, that will kill your lineup if you got him in. And this week they're going up against the Bucks, and we already know with the front four and the front seven, and plus the linebackers, so the front seven of the Bucks, man, them people go crazy. And we saw how last week Dallas didn't even try to run. I don't think it was really in the game plan for them to run with a much better running back. So I would be afraid of Mike Davis. Stay as far away from him as you can, because that's going to be a big dud next week. I do believe it. What about you, X-Spy? Who you got as your dud this week? The chocolate, like you say, the chocolate cover.
Who I have dripping in chocolate this week as my dud, Julio Jones.
Ooh,
And I
man, that's
give
a
y'all
big
my
name. That's a big
yeah,
name.
it's a big name. It's a big name. That's why it's a shiny dud. It's a shiny dud. I'd add to that. I really think that the coverage is gonna be rolled Julio's way. You know, when you planning to stop the Titans, first off, you're gonna show the coverage to Julio Jones. That's gonna open up a lot of things for AJ Brown and a softer box for Derrick Henry. But again, not Julio Jones. So if I'm a Julio Jones owner this week, uh I'm kind of thinking, do I have someone else to put in just for this week? Just for this week. I'm not saying you got to trash him, but this week, stay away from him.
Staying away from Julio this week. That might be some good advice, man. So now it's time my favorite part of Stud Dud, my new bud, and that's the my new bud section. Because this is where you get to find that new player that somebody else may not know about, or somebody that you got stashed on your bench that you should be ready to put in the game. Now I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Last week, my new bud actually turned out to be a big fat dud with Russell Gage. I don't know what happened. everything I said about him just went out the window. 2 targets, no catches. So my new bud
My
last
new
week turned
bud
into a
had a good one.
dud.
Devontae Smith.
Oh, you did. So tell me who's your new bud this week then?
My new bud this week is Cole Beasley. Yeah, Cole Beasley. High-powered offense. Josh Allen. I think he got double-digit targets. You know,
He threw him
anybody
a bunch of balls last week for sure.
Yeah, anybody that's getting double-digit targets, he at least should get flex consideration. I don't know how your team is built, but I'm thinking at least you can fit him into a flex. I like Cole Beasley.
So an old face becoming a new friend to somebody. That's what you're saying.
I like it.
Yep.
Who you got, Jack? Who's your new bud? Who you bringing to the table this week?
Man, I'm bringing to the table Elijah Mitchell.
Oh, you had to spend some big money to get him this week too. You had to spend some big money.
Big cuz spend some money, you know.
Big money.
I think, man, just overall, because we know San Francisco wants to run the ball, and he got a heavy share after most went down. He got a heavy share of those carries, so I think it's going to carry over through this week. They play Philly. I don't believe Philly can just stop the run right now. I don't think that's a part of their defensive repertoire. So I think it's a good, really, really good. If you got money and if you was able to get Elijah Mitchell, please put him in your starting lineup, even as a flex or RB2.
So you're not afraid of, even though Trey Sermon was a healthy scratch last week, which was pretty interesting for a second round or third round pick to be a healthy scratch. You don't think he's coming back next week, taking a part of that load from Elijah Mitchell?
Possibly, but I think right now Elijah has the hot hand. I think Kyle Shanahan has showed in the past that he does like to roll with the hot hand. I do think Trey Sermon may challenge him for that spot later on in the future, but if we're talking about week 2, play Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, I understand. You got to go with him. And then, I'm a little biased. I'm a Niners fan, so we going to run the ball. And I think out of all the backs that we have still available, Mitchell is the most similar to Raheem Mostert when it comes to the speed. And I think he showed that in the game on that first touchdown. He showed speed and he showed some physicality by breaking the tackle. So it should be a good one, man. If you were able to get him, I think you're gonna be blessed for the rest of the season with a good football player. And my new bud this week, I'm gonna go into an area that I'm pretty good at finding talent at, and I'm gonna go with the tight end Jawan Johnson from the New Orleans Saints. And here's why: he got 3 targets for 3 catches, but he caught 2 touchdowns. And that is a theme with Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston looks for those big targets when we get close to the end zone. If you think back a couple years ago, Cameron Brate was a touchdown monster in Tampa Bay with Jameis Winston. So even though Johnson may not get high volume on targets and catches, his catches are probably going to be very valuable because they might end up being touchdowns. Now you're going to be chasing touchdowns. But at the tight end position, we chasing points anyway if you don't have one of the best ones. So you might as well chase the points that are going to be extremely valuable. And that's tight ends that's catching touchdowns. So that's my new bud. Hopefully nobody go out and gets him in our league. I looked at him in my league this morning. I just didn't have space for him just yet. But in other leagues, I have considered him. And he's going to be on my roster in some way, shape, or form soon.
I definitely looked at him. But I want to see what Evan Ingram do before I drop him off my bench. So that's how I wanted to do that. But yeah, guys, that was our stud dud new bud. It's a tongue twister you should try. Stud dud new bud segment, man. I think y'all should take heed. I feel like we know what we talking about. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
and if it don't work out, drop some comments under the page and let us know it didn't work out for you that week. We don't mind. We take constructive criticism well. But if it doesn't work out, give us our props. If it works, give us our props. Let everybody know where you got that info from. And every week you'll have another stud dud, my new bud, to help fill out your lineup or take somebody out your lineup that's going to cause you trouble. Because we don't want them Dudley divulgers. Not at all.
I got y'all.
So we'll catch y'all on part 3 of episode 3 of Allegedly in just a second. We got a new segment coming up for y'all. Out.